Discovery of the Copper Scroll. In 1952, in Cave 3 at Qumran near the Dead Sea, archaeologists discovered an unusual artifact. Unlike other scrolls, written on parchment or papyrus, this one was made of thin strips of copper. Corrosion had made it brittle, and to read it, scholars had to cut it into sections. What they found stunned the scientific world. The scroll described 64 secret places where countless treasures were supposedly hidden. Hundreds of talents of gold and silver, precious vessels, and ritual objects from the temple in Jerusalem. The total, according to modern estimates, could have amounted to tens of tons of precious metals. Unlike other Qumran texts, the Copper Scroll was written in a dry, practical language, without religious teachings. It read not like a parable or allegory, but like a literal inventory of treasures. From this moment began one of the most captivating archaeological mysteries of the 20th century. Is the Copper Scroll a genuine pointer to the vast treasures of the Second Temple or just a legend? Context: the Dead Sea Scrolls. The Copper Scroll was found among more than 900 texts known as the Dead Sea Scrolls. These documents date from approximately the 3rd century BCE to the 1st century CE, and are believed by scholars to belong to the Essenes, a Jewish sect based in Qumran. Most of the scrolls contain religious texts, biblical books, commentaries, hymns, and community rules. But the Copper Scroll stands out. It speaks not of faith but of gold and silver. It is believed that the treasures may have belonged to the Jerusalem temple, plundered during the wars. Perhaps the priests hid the relics before the temple's destruction by the Romans in 70 CE. However, the question arises, why was the inventory written on copper and not papyrus? Scholars believe that copper was intended to ensure durability, given the immense wealth involved. If this is true, then we have a genuine treasury index. The language of treasure. The Copper Scroll is written in an unusual, slightly distorted Hebrew. Its style is harsh and dry. In the cave to the right of the entrance, under the third stone, are 7 talents of silver. No prayers or explanations, just a list of locations and amounts. Some lines sound like precise directions. In the aqueduct in Wadi Heba, 70 talents of silver. Under the steps of the leading road, 40 talents of gold. In the tomb at the house of Hakim, vessels of gold. This practicality makes the text unique. Other Qumran texts are symbolic and theologically rich, but here it's like an accounting report. But there's a problem. None of these locations have been found. Either the treasures were removed long ago, or the locations were known only to a select few, or the text itself was composed with the intention of mystifying. How much treasure are we talking about? Scholars have attempted to calculate the total amount. The scroll mentions over 4,600 talents of silver and gold. 1 talent is approximately 34 kilograms. This means we're talking about hundreds of tons of metal. Calculated in today's dollars, this could be worth billions of dollars. Even if some of the hoard is an exaggeration, it's still one of the largest treasures in history. But where did such riches come from? The leading theory is that they belonged to the Second Temple in Jerusalem. Solomon's temple and his successors accumulated enormous donations, royal gifts, and temple relics. If the priests truly hid them during the Roman siege, then the Copper Scroll is an instruction manual for their recovery. However, none of the described treasures have ever been found. This raises doubts. Did they even exist? Theories of origin. There are several theories regarding the origin of the Copper Scroll. Temple treasures. The leading theory. The inventory describes the riches of the Second Temple, hidden before the destruction of Jerusalem. A meeting of the Essene community. Perhaps not the temple treasures, but the Qumran sect's own resources. A political hoax. Some researchers believe the scroll was compiled to strengthen the community's faith. A legend of untold riches. Perhaps it is a symbolic text, taken literally only later. Whichever version is correct, the very fact that it was written on copper indicates the text had enormous significance for its creators. Treasure hunts and modern searches. Since the 1950s, the Copper Scroll has inspired dozens of archaeological expeditions. Treasures were searched for in the Judean Desert near Jerusalem and in the Dead Sea region, but nothing was found. Some seekers are certain the Romans removed the treasure long ago. Others believe the treasure is still hidden, but the descriptions are too vague to find. There were even theories that the treasure was located outside of Israel, perhaps hidden in Jordan. Some adventurers spent years and fortunes hunting for it. Every new search renews interest in this mystery. But the more searches, the clearer it becomes. If the treasure does exist, Its discovery would be the greatest archaeological discovery of all time. Symbol or reality? The main question: is the Copper Scroll a genuine guidebook or a myth? Supporters of its authenticity point to the practicality of the language, the enormous amounts involved, and the choice of materials. All this points to the reality of what was described. Skeptics, however, point out that there is no evidence of the treasure's existence. Perhaps it was a list of idealized riches, created as a consolation or a promise of the future. There is also a compromise version. Some of the treasures existed, but they were looted shortly after the fall of the temple. The rest is symbolic. In any case, the Copper Scroll remains a unique text, a blend of archaeology, myth, and cherished hope. Legacy of the Copper Scroll. Today, the Copper Scroll is kept in Jordan in the Amman Museum. Scholars continue to study it using 3D scanning and new analytical methods. For archaeologists, it is a unique testimony of the era. For adventurers, a treasure map. For believers, a possible connection to Solomon's temple. Its legacy is a reminder that history is full of secrets. Perhaps the treasures disappeared long ago, or perhaps they are still waiting for their time to be discovered. In any case, the Copper Scroll remains one of the most enigmatic documents of antiquity, a real or mythical pointer to riches that could have changed the course of history.